Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup, though. Started climbing my OG, got me locked in on cup, though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup, though. Started climbing my OG, got me locked in on cup, though.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here and Jack Burnett. All the lights are currently lit here on track, and it is go, go, go!
Contact between the Mercedes teammates.
Denoso with a crafty manoeuvre up the inside. Masterclass from the Chilean.
Crucial championship points on offer here.
Do not count out Danny Berezne.
Longay has done the job. This is for the win between these two.
Freddie Rasmussen win the United States Grand Prix.
Alfie Butcher wins for the first time ever. Lucas Blakely takes the championship. It's Barry Borman.
Jarno Opmeer is your champion.
Everyone, and welcome to PSGL for PC F5. And just a quick disclaimer, we haven't got the commentators corner up today. We've just got the calendar and the driver lineups for you to look at, as we didn't quite have time to set it up. I'm very, very sorry about that indeed. But round 2 of the Season 37 Championship, we head off to Miami, and also I would put the standings on the screen, but I didn't get any of those either. So all I have in front of me is a piece of paper with the top 3 from the race. So brilliant preparation indeed. And joining me, myself, Nathan Richards, in the commentary box will be Mackie. Mackie, welcome in. Yourself also dragged in quite late. I'm still sure though we'll get some brilliant action around this quite interesting circuit of Miami.
Look, absolutely. Like F5 last season especially gave plenty of action, plenty to. Yeah, it's quite unfortunate we don't have any stand-ins to try and analyze anything pre-race, but you know, I'm sure we've got some driver stand-ins that we can, or at least driver lineups we can have a quick look at. Of course, we'll be using the F1 World Cars this evening. So
yeah, going to be even harder than ever because it's hard enough with a grid of drivers you don't know. Never mind when they haven't got their team cars. So we're going to take a lot of getting used to knowing who's in which car, being as a lot of them tend to use a standard car. So you have lots of cars with the same colour driving around together, so it can become rather confusing. But from last week's results in Britain, I believe they also had some a wet race or a wet qualifying. I can't exactly remember. I do remember there being some wet weather somewhere though. But the race winner was Menno de Beva. Second place was Tristan Derbacourt, and then third place was Miltos Karofilidis. And then for qualifying, the top three was the same, but it was Tristan and Menno swapped around. So it seems the top three of F5 look pretty much clear in that top three, and we'll see what they can do tonight. I believe all of them are racing here in F5 this evening. You can see on the right the driver lineup. Obviously, some of them aren't going to be racing tonight. There will be reserves in their place. But Mackie, do you want to talk us through the Miami circuit?
The Miami circuit, if I just very one that I haven't looked at all that much. But yeah, it's a very different circuit to Silverstone, which we had last week. So we could see very different drivers on the top. Of course, you've got that very, very long back straight, which has a very long DRS zone. We could see a lot of overtaking through there, especially into turn at 17. And just before that, you've got the very slow chicane as well, which will slow them down, potentially take out some of the rhythm that they've got. And then at the start of the lap as well, you've got the relatively fast section through turns 1, 2, and 3, which leads you into honestly, I'm going to call it a Maggots and Beckett style section that then goes into another long, fast acceleration sector.
Yep, it's a handful of a track. It's one of those tracks that isn't liked by many because of, well, one of how difficult it is. Two, it is a little bit of an odd shape, but I'm sure this will test the skills of the drivers here tonight in the F5 grid. We'll have a quick look at the main screen so you can see who reading through. I'm very sorry if I mispronounce any of the names. There we are. You can see going through, we got Naskai for TTN, then we got Julian28, Tillen Smith, we got CZK, Istvan Tamasi, Charles Sutton, Matex, Miltos Karofilidis, Pablo, Tristan Derbacourt, Hops, Ryan Jacobs, Sasha Neeb, Alessandro Poi, Lighty, Dennis Langrock, and then that's it. So we've got 16 people in at the moment. I'm sure we'll get a few more to welcome their way in very shortly. But I've got to say, I notice a lot of drivers with the prefix of TTM. There's 5 of them in this lobby, so we'll see if they decide to work together, because Mackie, I'm sure they will. I've seen him in F2 and F3. The drivers all like to work together with their community teams or their esports teams. So yes, it could be quite interesting having 5 TTMs on the grid tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be a very interesting few sessions coming up, but we will see, as it does look like we're about to get going, Nathan.
It does. We are just heading our way in towards the qualifying session. I'm just looking in the chat. A few people here for Joao Piana, Matex as well, saying hello. Hello, Matex. And then Ryan Jacobs saying, don't you dare mispronounce my name. Well, it'd be very difficult, Ryan, to mispronounce your name. Considering I've also commentated with you and I've had to say it multiple times on a stream, I'm hoping I don't get it wrong. So if I do, I'm very, very sorry. But good luck tonight, of course, to everyone taking part in this race. Of course, as we said before, Miami, a very difficult track. There's lots of technical skills that are needed to be used to set a quick lap time and also be consistent in the race. And it's a shame we've only got a few people in the lobby. I would have expected a few more, but it looks like we've only got 16 in. So it makes it also, Mackie, very good for drivers to get points, maybe if they don't normally score points.
Absolutely. You've also got the factor that, of course, this is a street circuit built in a car park. The walls are there. You make a small mistake, you're going to end up on the wall and potentially retire the car, which could lead to safety cars. So never rule it out. But if you get penalties, it could really harm you, that inherent risk of safety cars that you've got around here.
Definitely. Could be indeed. And make sure, guys, to let us know quickly in the chat if the sound is all right, because obviously I've literally had about 15 minutes to prepare, so the sound might not be fully synced. So please just let us know if everything is okay. And just looking in the chat again, Lillian here to support his brother. Tristan, Lillian's an F2 reserve, or F3 reserve, I can't exactly remember. And of course, Tristan is his brother, who's racing full-time in F5. So we'll see what he can get up to tonight. So I'm just going to get everything up on the screen. There we are. Boom. Right, we've got a few cars heading out onto track. We've got a blue car, which will be Dennis Langrock. We've got a black car, which is Charles Sutton, and then we got many other cars heading their way out. So, looking through, I've got to say, I like the skin that Dennis has got on his car. It's like a pastel blue, a pastel brown, and a white. I'm going to say it does suit quite nicely. Unless it's like a chrome colour, I'm not quite sure. But yes, it also, Mackie, gives the drivers a chance to show us their creativity skills with the car skins. But then again, they've not really got much to, they haven't got much to edit, have they, really?
And we also have 2 McLaren Shadow cars out there. I'm not sure if they're. Has F5 been assigned teams or or not? Do we know?
I think they have. I think they have, just not using the cars because of the alleged issue with equal cars. Obviously, I don't think it's real because we heard at the start of the game that the Alpine was the quickest. It was 2/10 quicker than every car, and then they said it was the Red Bull, then the Mercedes. So it makes me think, well, are any of them actually quicker, or is it just a placebo effect? Is my question. But that's not for me to analyse and discuss, because I will have many very angry drivers in my ear holes telling me I should stick to commentating. So we'll leave it like that. I've heard it in real F1. The drivers get very annoyed when commentators have an opinion, so we'll leave them to it. But Mackie, we got now Dennis Langrock coming through the final corner to begin his first lap of the session.
Absolutely, and I will just take everyone through a very quick lap here. So you go into turn 1 there, you're braking, you're down to about the 4th gear, going around, being careful on that accelerator, the rear end can lose you very easily through sector 1. But it's full acceleration, up into gear 7 now, and at the 50 metre board, you may think about lifting if you're not experienced, but of course these drivers are very experienced. So you're going to go through a pretty much full throttle till you reach the end there, a little bit of braking on the turn there as you head through turn, I think that's turn 10 at that point. I really need to learn this track a bit more. I think this might actually be the first time I've commentated Miami. But yeah, you go through DRS zone number 1 now, sector 2. Just go through. That's going to be a very heavy braking zone now to go to the next section. This is the slowest section on the circuit, locking up that left front. You're going through now. You're dropping all the way down into 3rd gear, losing the rear end just a little bit, but sliding out of the corners through the chicane that is arguably the worst section of any track on the F1 calendar. And then you've got onto that long back straight after setting a purple sector 2, but I think the first one out on track, so of course it would be purple. The DRS wide open, 8th gear, all the way down now to the heavy braking zone coming up now. It's going to be about the 100 metre board, braking all the way down into 3rd gear, hitting that exit curb and turning the car all the way around the long left-hander and then into the long right-hander. Maybe not so much curb, you saw the rear end losing it a little bit, but that's going to be a 26-0 straight off the bat for Dennis Langrock.
Of course, as we can see, Charles Sutton there go to the top by half a second there with a 25.581. I'm just on here on board with Miltos Carafalid. He's got 3rd back in Britain. We'll see what he can do for his first lap of the session tonight here in Miami. Up to the line, goes to the top there with a 25.230. Brilliant banker lap from Miltos. So we got CZK up to 2nd with a 25.3. Ryan Jacobs up into 4th with a 25.628 as Julian 28 goes up into 3rd with a 25.516. Just looking to see a few more drivers head up towards the line, as that would have been, I believe, Alessandro Poi up into P7 with a 25.8. We've got Tristan D'Herbecourt heading down towards the final corner now. Pole sitter last time out in Britain. He will be looking to do that back-to-back if possible. Of course, 1 point gets awarded if you take pole position. Tristan D'Herbecourt to the line goes 2nd, just behind Miltos Carafalidis. As we come towards the end of the first runs, I've got to say, yet again, the top 2, Miltos and Tristan, they did the exact same thing last week. They're looking miles clear of the field, aren't they, Mackie?
I wouldn't say miles clear, but they're definitely a few tenths clear. You've obviously got the top 3 there. There's a little bit of a gap down to Julian 28 in 4th place as Sasha Neeb crosses the line at a 1:26.3. Feels a bit more like a banker lap there. Potentially going to push it a little bit more in the next few runs. But yeah, I think we've had a few invalidations, which is obviously a risk of running around here.
Yeah, definitely. You know, even though the wall meets you, it's very quickly. It's very easy to invalidate your lap times, as it is on any track here with this strict corner cutting. As we can see, Pablo head to the line goes up into 12th there with a 1:26.083. And let's see, is any of the others on a lap? Istvan Tamasip is just heading through into the middle sector at the moment, up towards turn 13, and then of course the chicane at turns 14 and 15 just throws the car in, and we'll see what Istvan can do in this middle. Set to slide in the car through there. That'll lose him some time through that middle sector. and it'll be 101.6. So I'm not sure that will be that representative for Istvan Tamasi. Matex is heading his way through, but he, of course, has got an invalidation on this lap, and Lighty went back into the pits after having an invalidation on his lap. So the first run to qualifying end, it is Miltos Karafalidis who is ahead of Tristan Derbacorner, of course. This is a very good thing for the championship because Menno de Beva won last week out in Britain. He's not here tonight, so he's on 16 points now. But these do have a very good chance to put themselves over 10 points clear of Menno going through in towards round number 3. So this is perfect for Tristan and Miltos, but they've got to make sure they can do it in the race. It's good enough being quick in qualifying, but you've got to do it on your second run and final run, and you've also got to make sure you can keep it consistent in the race, as we can see now. Dennis Langrock out on circuit, was out first for the first laps of qualifying. He's out first yet again for the second laps of qualifying, currently down in P11 with the 26.0. Mackie has got a lot of time to gain, nearly 8 tenths to gain on this lap, so surely he must have made a mistake somewhere on his previous run.
Absolutely, of course, all of these drivers very evenly paced. From what I remember last season, of course, some names are the same, a lot of names are different. But we'll see now is on the outlaps, so we will see if he's able to improve. Of course, anyone on this grid has the chance to improve. Anyone on this grid has the chance to get that pole position, that extra point, and that good run into turn 1.
Indeed, yeah, it's a very, very difficult circuit, but it's also one of those circuits where if you do manage to break that DRS, you know, at the front, just say you're in P2 and you can break the DRS to P3, most of the time it's going to, most of the time you're going to stay a second ahead. They're really going to struggle to get themselves back within a second because of how difficult this circuit is. But of course, another thing we can consider in qualifying is the wings. Of course, you've got, 2 very long straights down towards turn 11 and down towards turn 16, but you've also got some very, very slow sections. So we know that drivers tend to use, there's a little bit of difference within what wings they use. So this is what we'll see in qualifying, who uses the lower wings and who uses the higher wings. Well, that's not for me to say because, yet again, I don't know what differences all these different wings make. But the drivers will know what setups others are using, whether they're faster in the high speed or faster in the low speed. But we can see now Dennis Langrock head his way through the first set to begin his second lap of the session. Of course, 8 tenths down off of the top time. He's got quite a lot of time to gain, even if he wants to get himself within that top 6 and top 5. So Mackie will see what he can do on the second run.
Yeah, of course, we're seeing now that's going to be an absolute fastest first sector, going purple there as we go on to that first long acceleration section. That first DRS zone is wide open. Then we go into the heavy braking zone any moment now. It's looking good, taking as much of the outside curve as possible, locks up a little bit, but I know that these cars, it's not necessarily making you lose time as such. Hitting again that outside curb, trying to extend the track limits as much as possible. And going now onto that long back straight. It's looking good so far. It's going to be a half-second improvement, another purple sector.
Of course, now as he heads his way down towards the final corner at turn number 6, well, one of the final corners down at turn number 16, a very heavy braking zone all the way down to third gear, braking just after that 100-metre board. Get the car down and try not to lock the rears, which is exactly what Dennis does, so that will definitely cost him some time. But now, heading up towards the line, what will it be for Dennis Langrock? Goes up into P6 with a 25.586, so gain nearly 5 tenths on his previous run. We've got Miltos Karafalidis now currently on pole position provisionally, so we'll see what he can do on this second lap now, heading his way through into that middle sector. Was up by just over a tenth in the first. Now as he heads through, we've got Ryan Jacobs up to the top there with a 25.213. Normally I'll be saying what team he's in, but he's racing in a black car because we don't have the official team cards unfortunately yet in PSGL due to the brilliance of the equal performance, which doesn't really exist. Now, as we can see, Miltos head down towards turn number 16 himself. We'll see what he can do on this run. As we can see there, I think it was Tristan possibly crossing the line, unless it was one of the other orange cars further back. We'll see now what can Milty set. Can he get himself back up to the pole position? To the line he does with a 24.992. That's a brilliant lap from Miltos Karafalidis. As CZK goes even quicker with a .960.
The track is absolutely ramping up right now. Track evolution is absolutely a thing that you can experience. And though those there must have been bank laps they set before, because even with track evolution, that's a lot of pace to suddenly find. I do reckon this session's going to get even quicker.
it will get very, very quick. Of course, we've still got 7 minutes to go, and many drivers still on their second runs. As we can see there, Julian go up into P4 with a 25.249. We can see NASCAR heading through the final corner now. We'll see what he can improve to. We're currently in P8 on a 25.6. Heads back into the pits. Will not continue with that lap now. Tristan Derbacourt is up by 23 hundredths in the first. He's still up, but down in the second compared to his previous run. So definitely not an ideal run so far. Up by just over 13 thousandths of a second in the second sector. So that would put him not even up into P4. So we'll need to find a lot in this final sector. A bit of a lock up in towards the braking zone, gets back on the power nice and early. What will it be here for Tristan Derbacourt? Will it be a chance back at the top? Goes up into third with a 25.1. So definitely a lot of time to gain in that middle sector for Tristan, of course, where he lost a hundredth on his previous best. So definitely not an ideal lap at all for Tristan, who is currently second in the standings, of course, getting pole in Britain and got second place in the race. So he will be on 13 points to Menno de Bever's 16 and Miltos Karafalidis' 12. So very close in the standings, and a big battle between Miltos and Tristan of who will take the championship lead. Of course, only these two can take it due to the amount of points they are on. So we'll see what they can do here tonight, Mackie. But we've got a few more drivers heading out on their out laps, of course, wanted to get their final runs in. Of course, some of them going out very early. I would have thought they would have gone out a little bit later, but going out with 6 minutes to go will be NASCAR and Dennis Langrock.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're just going to have to wait and see what these final runs do. We've got about 5 minutes left in the session. Is anyone on a hot lap right now? Is everyone coming in?
Charles Sutton.
Charles Sutton, indeed. Yeah, going for sector 1 right now. It doesn't look like he's slowing down at all. Now we'll see as we go across the sector line now whether this is a representative lap time or not. Plus 3 seconds. I don't think he's pushing all that hard on that lap. Be impressive to see 3 seconds made up in 2 sectors, though.
Yeah.
Someone should try that sometime.
It'd be interesting. It would mean they would be, well, it'd be a very good time. I'm sure there'd be many accusations going around if someone could make up 3 seconds in the second and third sector. But we have Dennis Langrock now heading down towards the final corner shortly to begin his lap. But I think NASCAR is just ahead of him. Yep, NASCAR heading down towards the final corner to begin his, I believe, will be final lap of the session. So taking the last lap very early compared to what many others will do, but we'll see if this will work for NASCAR and Dennis, and also Alessandro Poi, and all part of the TTN team. So maybe this is some sort of coordinated run between the three. As NASCAR now heads his way through the first sector, of course, a very difficult sector, very easy to lose the rear of the car if you get too throttle heavy as he heads his way through the next couple of right-handers, of course, into a long left in towards the final break-ins out of the first sector. And we'll see what NASCAR can do in this first sector of the lap.
Absolutely. So we're just going to have a quick look now. So NASCAR was able to improve, but very slightly. Langrock, on the other hand, coming across the line now, is going to again be marginal improvements. I do have to wonder if these two going out on their final runs so early is going to harm them. Because, of course, with track evolution, theoretically, you want to be at the back of the queue.
Yep, definitely. It's going to be a rather interesting one, and I can't see it working, but it might do. We'll see, of course, as Dennis begins his lap. We've got NASCAR now heading through in towards turn 15, up by 0.2 of a second, which would put him just around P7, around where Charles Sutton and Hops is. But, of course, would like to find even more if he wants to challenge for the top 6, of course, with Tillen Smid and up as he heads his way now down towards turn number 16. Braking late, but spins the car round nearly, collects it, but a big lock-up on the rear. That will definitely harm his lap time when he heads back into the pits. We've got Dennis Langrock now heading down in towards the final corners, in towards turn 16, takes the car through nicely, gets back on the power nice and early, and heads back into the pits. So he will also not continue with that lap. What about Alessandro Poi? Is already invalidated and was up by 0.2 in the first sector. So this is a big shame here for Alessandro Poi. So we'll see if he can head back into the pits and go again, unless he wants to go again on this set of tyre, but I'm not quite sure what he will opt to do. But we can see most people heading out onto track to start their final runs of the session. Of course, it is still ZZK on pole, ahead of Miltos Karafalidis and Tristan Derbacourt in the top 3.
Absolutely, of course. I think all of those drivers lost lost time in Sector 2, interestingly. Of course, it's a very, very difficult sector to get correct, especially at the end there. That chicane, you could definitely lose a lot of time there, especially if you hit the curb wrong. And we've seen it in real life as well. Drivers lose a lot of time there just by hitting the curbs slightly at the wrong angle. We're going to see now, coming to start the laps now, it's going to be oh my God, I'm struggling with names again, Nathan. It's all going wrong.
Karafalidis, Miltos now heading his way through out of the final corner to begin his final lap. Of course, in second position, 30 thousandths away from pole on a 24.992. So we'll see what he can do and what he can achieve on his final run. Heading his way through the first few corners now of the lap in towards turns 5 and 6. I've also got to try and remember some of the corner names as I didn't really revise them much before we started here tonight in Miami. Heading his way through. Looks a bit scrappy so far here from Miltos in that first sector, but we'll see if he found an improvement. Did he find an improvement? Yes, he did. 69 thousandths of a second for Miltos Karafalidis, so would easily put him on pole for the time being, and can also now looking to try and not get slipstream. Of course, you can receive a penalty if you do so, trying to avoid all cars in his way as he heads down to turn 11. Bit of a lock-up, goes a little bit deep, but doesn't harm him too much as he heads his way round towards turn number 13, and then of course the chicane at 14 and 15. Mackie will see what he can do in this middle sector.
So in the interest, CZK was almost a 10th up through Sector 1, but that's going to be a 10th up there for Miltos as well. This is going to be a very close pole position battle, I think. We're also going to have to see if Derbacor is going to be able to improve on his Sector 1 as well, as he just goes across the line right about now. It's going to be a 300th improvement. So we're going to see now, is Miltos going to be able to come across the line as he goes through the final turn now? He's going to come across the line. That is going to be a 1.8 improvement and goes a 1:24.8 onto provisional pole, but CZK isn't too far off the line. It's going to be the next one in the competition going across. Lost time in Sector 2, however. So we'll see if this is actually a competitive time or not. It's going to be across the line now. That's going to be not an improvement, stay second. Unfortunate there for CZK.
Definitely, and also Tristan Derbacor has got an invalidation, so he won't be able to take pole position. What about Ryan Jacobs? Also has an invalidation, so it's down to Julian in P5 at the moment as Sashanib goes up into P8. Can Julian take pole? No, he can't. He's heading back into the pit, so no one here going to be challenging for pole position, it seems. So it might be pole position here for Miltos Karafalidis with a 1:24.805, and no one in the top 7, apart from Miltos, found an improvement. So it seems at the end of qualifying, many of them looked to be under a lot of pressure and couldn't deliver under the pressure. So it will be, it seems, Miltos Karafalidis on pole position. Of course, gives him an extra point to take into the race, of course, for the championship, which would put him, I think, at the moment, if he was going to win it, it would easily put him in the lead of the championship. So this is perfect here for Karafalidis. But of course, Derbacor in third, not that far behind. We'll also be looking to try and hunt down Karafalidis for that victory. Of course, we're only at round 2, but every point matters. And between these two, they know they are most likely the two drivers to fight for the championship, of course, along with Menno de Beba. So they will treat it like they're fighting for the championship. And I think that is all the runs completed, because we've got Istvan Tamasi down by 10 seconds in the middle sector. So that's it, Mackie. It'll be Miltos on pole ahead of CZK.
Absolutely, and then it's a very, very strong looking second row as well. I mean, Tristan Derbacor and Ryan Jacobs, they've been showing their pace in this session already. I think the start of this race is going to be very interesting.
It certainly will indeed. Of course, Ryan Jacobs, a previous Xbox Challengers driver. I believe he also got a couple of podiums in his campaign, so he's got a lot of experience under his belt as a racer and also as a commentator. He used to commentate over back in WRT1 season 12, I think it was. I can't remember what season we're on now. I've lost track of all the different seasons over all the different leagues. But we can see our pole position point will go to Miltos Karafalidis, over a 10.5 clear of CZK, then another 2.5 tenths back to Tristan Derbacor in third. Then we have Ryan Jacobs in fourth, followed by Julian 28, Tillen Smid, Charles Sutton, Sashanib, Pablo, and Istvan Tamasi rounding out the top 10. Then we have Hops in P11, Matex, Naskai, Dennis Langrock, Alessandro Poi, and Lighty, the top 16. And I've got to say there, a big shame for TTM as 4 of their 5 drivers are starting 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th.
Absolutely. I wonder if they did have a strategy and it just didn't work out. But we'll see. It could entirely be a setup thing, having more of a race setup. They could be incredibly pacey in this race, and this weather, it may not be raining, but it's certainly looking like the track might be cold.
Yep, it's looking rather overcast, which could be, well, it could be interesting. But Mackie, I'll give you the race to take the start. It could be very interesting, so make sure you're prepared, because someone's got to be a little bit disappointed, I think, at turn 1.
It's entirely possible. It's Miami. Of course, we've got I want to say the slightly weird starting grid. It's kind of on a turn already, so they've got to contend with that. Wow, they're starting the race, and then you've got the run into turn 1, which, you know, it's not the slowest corner on the calendar, so we will have to see how well this goes. We could see someone run someone off the road, or we could see a completely clean start. I don't think it's going to be like in between at all. So someone is going to be taken off into the wall, into the barrier, retired, or everyone's going to make it through the corner. There's going to be no in between.
Yeah, one of the two, as it always is. Who's your prediction for the win? Because I'm going to go with Miltos personally. I think he's got pole. I think he can get the win.
I think he's certainly a strong contender, but I wouldn't rule out Derbycore, who, of course, we don't know what setups they're running. It could absolutely be more of a, you know, race setup. I think anyone could take it. I don't think there's any way to actually predict that right now, but it's going to be close.
It will, and it's a bit of a long wait till we get started. It'd be nice if the roads could get sorted earlier. I know they've got to pick the strategies and pick the setups, but come on, guys, it doesn't take that long, surely. You should have it all planned in your head before we head into the race, but it will be rather an interesting one. So, guys, make sure in the chat as well to let us know who you think will take the victory here tonight in Miami.
All right, so it's just a wait now for everyone to sort their strategies out, sort any finalizations to the strategies out. I've seen a lot of love for Miltos in the chat right now. I have been most of the stream, to be fair. So I think chat's favourite might be Miltos, Nathan.
Apparently I'm on pole, so that's interesting.
We will just have to wait and see. Should have 5 red lights shortly. I can't remember the last time I was waiting this long.
I'm going to have a quick check in Discord to see if everything's all right, because it's been a long, long wait. No, nothing, so it should be fine. Weird. Ah, isn't this brilliant? Or could just stand here with nothing to say, nothing to talk about, because the drivers are taking their merry time.
I can't even talk about the standings from last week because I haven't got them.
We haven't got any. No, F5 was left without them. Apart and F5 and F1 were the only ones without standings.
To be fair, there were a couple of stewards' findings I could talk about. Matex received 3 license points and 5-second penalty.
3 license points. That's a lot.
That's it. Oh, here we go. We've got 2, 3, 4, and that's 5 red lights. As they get underway, they were held there for quite a while, but they are underway. It's an incredible start from Miltos Karafalidis into turn 1. He's miles ahead already. That's going to be Tristan Derbycore, makes it into second place, and someone's off. Not sure if they managed to recover. They have managed to recover. There's contact further behind as we now see Miltos, incredible lead. Derbycore not too far behind, and Julian is having to worry about those behind. Ryan Jacobs continues in 4th. Dylan Smith 5th as well. Charles Sutton there is all in the middle of it. Someone's off. Someone is off. I think that was that Cesar K?
Yeah.
I think completely went off there. Damage to the left end plate, and like I said, someone was going to end up in the wall there at the start. It took a few more corners than I suspected, but great start from most of the drivers there. Unfortunate there for CZK. It looked like a move that just wasn't the space to make.
Yeah, definitely started second in the race, and now he's 16th, 9 seconds back, so he needs a big safety car here to try and get him back in towards the points positions. So definitely not a good race at all, or at least not a good start at all for CZK. But the battle at the front is still Miltos Karafalidis leading ahead of Tristan Derbycore. We've got Julian in 3rd ahead of Ryan Jacobs in 4th as they head their way now down towards turn number 16 for the first time in this race. We'll see if any moves are made. We can see further back there. We've got Dennis Langrock on the rear of Sasha Neeb for P8 in towards the braking zone they go. And we'll see.
Oh, and sorry, but Tim Smith's going into 4th place after locking up, going to final corner, shoved his way in there just a little bit, and going into lap 2. That's going to be Tim Smith taking 4th place off Ryan Jacobs.
Brilliant move there indeed from Tillin Smith up into fourth, of course, losing that 1 second temporarily, but gets it back pretty much instantly, can continue on in that top four train. We can see further back as well, Charles Sutton here looking to make a move ahead of Ryan Jacobs. A very poor opening couple of laps here for Ryan as they head their way through turn 5, 6 and 7, and you can see the gap just coming down and down. Ryan already nearly a second back from Tillin Smith, so definitely not ideal as that, I think, is Pablo making a move ahead of Charles Sutton. Bit of damage for someone, I think, as they head their way through. We've got Dennis Langrock as well looking to make a move ahead of Charles Sutton as they head their way down towards turn number 11 for the second time in the race. Of course, DRS gets activated on the second lap rather than the first. And we'll see a 3 wide possibly in towards the break zone. Charles still defending, but Dennis pushes him a little bit wide and gets the move done.
Yeah, absolutely. He did push a bit wide, but they're still side by side now as we go into this sector. There's not much room to be going side by side, but they do go single file, and that's going to be Dennis Langrock into 7th place ahead of Charles Sutton, who has dropped several places this lap, unfortunately.
Yeah, big shame indeed for Charles Sutton. Was looking to make a move past Ryan Jacobs earlier on, but now looking to defend from Matex in P9 on the medium tyre. Of course, we've got a few on the hards, but the majority of the drivers are on a set of the medium tyres, so we'll see what that does for strategy, whether it's the overcut or the undercut that will work, we'll see in around 27 laps time. But the 3 leaders head down towards turn 1. Karafalidis leads ahead of Derbicourt, ahead of Julian in third. Then, of course, Tillin Smith looking to try and get back within a second of the top 3. Gets back for a second, gets back to just for a split second, but hopefully can keep it within a second so he can join that battle for the podium. Uses a bit of battery to catch up nice and quickly. We can see further back, of course, Matex on the back of Charles Sutton looking to try and find a move. Further behind as well, we've got Alessandro Poi, just a couple tenths back from Lighty, of course. Started down in P16 up to P12, so a decent start for the TTM driver who had no lap time set in qualifying. Now looking decently quick in the race as Hops there gets himself up into the top 10 ahead of Sasha Neeb. So we can see at the moment there's a big difference between the mediums and the hards, isn't there? Also, all those on the hards losing so many positions in the opening couple of laps.
Except, of course, for Tristan Derbicourt, who's managed to make a position, in fact, off the start there, and is, in fact, battling very strongly for this position. Of course, this top 3 very much taking it away a little bit, but Tillin Smith hasn't let them go. He's, in fact, brought back about 4 tenths.
He has, yep, very good indeed on that lap from Tillin Smith. Now to get himself back into the podium contention as they head their way down towards turn number 16. We'll see if any moves get made. Oh, Miltus have gone a little bit too deep. That allows Tristan to try and make a move as they head down towards turn 1 once again. A big lock up there from Karafalidis in towards the braking zone at turn number 16. This allows possibly Julian also to make a move. Karafalidis backs off into turn 1, but Tristan knows he wants that DRS. He wants to have that advantage over Karafalidis as they head their way through the first couple of corners once again. And we can see here a bit of flashing from Tristan, of course, using no battery through this first sector. You can afford to do that because you don't really gain much by using it as you head your way all the way through the end of this Mickey Mouse section in sector number 1. We can see further back as well, Hops on the rear of Matex looking to try and find a move, as that's going to be Charles Sutton off the circuit at turn number 6. Gone a little bit wide. Once you go off track there, you lose so much grip and it can just spin the car around, and Charles Sutton down to P15 after starting up in P6. Definitely not the way he would have wanted this race to go.
No, absolutely not. But luckily, I don't think there's any damage. But going into the lead of the Grand Prix, no, sorry, battling for second. It's going to be Julian battling Tristan Derbicourt. And in fact, he makes the move going into this start of sector 2. Not start, the middle of sector 2, sorry. The slow portion through the chicane. He's just going to hold on to that position. And Derbicourt's hard tyres, I don't think, are the best right now. And the mediums are just working out right now.
Indeed they are. You can see the hards are looking to get a little bit more comfortable, but of course they're Tristan losing out in that middle sector, of course, going a little bit wide. Having the DRS advantage for Julian allowed him to make the move ahead of Derbicourt as they head their way down towards turn number 16 once again to finish lap 4 of 29. We go into lap 5 now, and of course it's still Karafalidis that leads ahead of Julian, ahead of Derbicourt. We can see further behind as well. So lots of Hops there, losing a lot of time on those previous runs with the battling. So now they're 3 seconds back from the top 7. So very good for those in the top 7 because they know they've got some sort of buffer. As Charles Sutton DNFs in the pits after getting a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pits. A big shame indeed for Charles Sutton. Was looking for some decent points in this race. Unfortunately, will end it with a big DNF. A big shame indeed for the Shazoo driver. As we can see there, Ryan Jacobs being overtaken by Pablo up the inside at turn number 7. A brilliant move from Oh no, no, Ryan's got it back as they head their way down towards turn 11. No, Ryan got it back. A brilliant recovery from Ryan as they head their way down to the braking zone at turn number 11. But we can see now the grid starting to pack up a bit more, starting to really get compact. So this is going to allow for some brilliant moves and people being caught off guard a little bit.
Absolutely, we just saw Alessandro Poi there getting up into 10th position. Unfortunately didn't see the move, but I'm sure it was good. Julian now challenging for the lead of the Grand Prix, has really caught up in the last couple of laps. Miltos here has a little bit of competition as it looks like Julian's looking down the inside. And a side-by-side, Julian will take the lead of the Miami Grand Prix in PSGL F5.
Of course, as they head their way to the braking zone as well, Derbicor was looking to try and close in, but couldn't quite find a move ahead of Miltos Karafalidis, who's now demoted down to P2 as they head their way down towards turn 1. Once again, it is, of course, Julian who leads for the Plain Ducks team, of course, taking part in many team events last game. And Julian, you know, is a driver that has, you know, I think was down in F8, F9, so he's really, you know, got used to the game. He's got himself into a good rhythm and now looking to fight for a victory in PC F5, which is definitely something to be proud of, even if he can't take the victory in the end. As we can see, of course, further back, Ryan Jacobs now on the rear of Tillen Smid, so looking to get a little bit more comfortable now. Is Ryan Jacobs having a bit of a scrappy start, losing a couple of positions, but now looking to get back within the rhythm, looking to try and make some moves, closing in here on the back of Tillen Smid as they head their way down towards the braking zone at turn number 11, but can't quite find the move. What about at the front? No moves being made, so they all stick behind each other, knowing there's no point making moves for the leaders. It costs them time and also will lose them that DRS advantage, as we can see as well. Matex looking to try and make a move ahead of Hops. So we've got like too many races here. We've got P1 to P7 and P8 then to P14.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see there's a little bit of a gap there between Hops and Dennis, between 7th and 8th. Of course, they all appear to be grouped up in their own paces. Of course, the circuit brings out very different skills to other circuits on the calendar. I'd say it's honestly a pretty balanced circuit in terms of actual skills needed. As it looks for a move from Miltos, but doesn't commit to it, backs off. Just wasn't enough room on the inside or enough pace in the car to actually commit to a move. But going into turn 1, we could see a move here from Miltos. No, he continues to stay backed off and probably wait for the next major DRS zone.
Of course, here, as you can see, Alessandro Poi looking to make a move around the outside of Matex in towards turn 1. Can't quite find the move. Matex also looking to battle with Hops here for P8. I think Hops wanted that to be behind so he could get that DRS, but no. Matex staying behind and keeping that P9 position for now. We've got Alessandro Poi as well looking to try and find a way through on the back of Matex. But further up the field, yet again, we can see the gap's really closing in. We've got Ryan Jacobs on the back of Tillen Smid, and we've got Tristan Devergor here closing in quickly on the back of Miltos Karafalidis as Julian now gets swamped by Miltos. Can we see a move from Tristan as well? To the outside he goes into the braking zone. No, can't quite find the move done in towards the braking zone. We've got Tillen Smid there looking for a bit of a nose up the inside of Tristan, but had to back out at the final minute, so he didn't end up clashing the back of Devercorn. And we've got 3 wide in towards turn 12 between Hops, Alessandro Poi and Matex as they head their way through. Poi on the outside, going to try and fight it, try and force it, but can't quite force it enough to get himself up into P9.
Absolutely, and Matex now leads his pack after that incredible battle that I was just watching for a couple of sectors. But for the lead of the Grand Prix, it looks like Julian Miltos are going for it. Around the outside goes Miltos. He's back in the lead of the Grand Prix, but Julian's not going to let it go. He's back down the inside, go through the final turns. As we go across the start-finish line now, start lap 8, it's going to be Miltos in the lead, and someone is off.
Yep, that'll be NASCAR down in P14 off the circuit, well, not off the circuit, but round, but continues on, luckily without any signs of damage. We can see, of course, if we go back to the front of the pack, a brilliant battle down towards the first couple of corners from the top 5. Of course, Tillen Smid getting involved. Ryan Jacobs makes a move ahead of him up into P4 now on the hards, and it does make you think now the hard tyres might be the better tyre to be on at this point in the race, as NASCAR yet again making a mistake down at the first couple of corners, exiting turn 2. Has a bit of a spin, so of course getting very hot tyres and of course losing the rear and having another spin, as we can see now. Many moves looking to be made. We've got Pablo looking to make a move ahead of Tillen Smid. We've got the top 3 looking to battle. We've got Tristan Devercor looking to make the lead. Karafalidis around the outside, and we've also got Julian looking to go around the outside. He goes off the circuit, tries to get back on as they nearly go 3 wide up in towards turn 13 and 14, and we can see Miltos there suffering down to 3rd, and Ryan Jacobs now looking to try and make a move for 3rd.
Absolutely incredible moves, and Dennis Langrock is still going for moves on the exit there, onto the back straight, and it's looking like it's going to have to remain in 7th, at least for now, but a little bit of DRS, a little bit of slipstream, might be able to make the move. But for the lead of the Grand Prix, are we going to see anything happen? No, not this lap, but Dennis Langrock still going for the move. No, he's backed off. They're all going to remain in position going to the final couple of turns.
Of course, as they head again back down towards turn number 1, of course, it's Debecourt that leads ahead of Julian 28 and Miltos Kavlidis in 3rd. And for now, it looks like it could be staying as it is, as we can see Pablo make a move for P5 ahead of Tillen Smid in towards turn 1. So Pablo up into the top 5. Very good from him so far in this race, making many positions from where he was in qualifying, as we can see here. For a second, Jacobs looking to make a move ahead of Kavlidis as Istvan Tamasip gets a 3-second time penalty. Definitely not ideal for his race. And now Jacobs up the inside of Kavlidis. Miltos goes a little bit wide, allows Jacobs to get up the inside and get the move done. And now Kavlidis get down to P4. Started on pole. Definitely not looking too strong at the moment in the race as they head their way down towards turn number 11. And then we can see, does Julian make a move for lead? He does. To the inside goes Julian, takes the lead away from Tristan Debecourt, and Miltos Kavlidis still can't find a way past. But actually, Julian goes deep and allows Tristan to close back up once again.
Absolutely. Of course, still got battles happening throughout the grid. This battle for the lead honestly goes all the way down to 7th position. Pablo, unfortunately, picked up a 3-second time penalty for track limits. It's not going to help his race as he is a part of this battle. Tristan Debecourt is just staying back a little bit, but he does have the DRS now. He's gaining quite quickly. He pulls for the inside line. Is he going to get ahead? He is ahead. He leads the Grand Prix, and he goes into turn 17 now, and that's going to be the lead of the Grand Prix for Tristan Debecourt.
Of course, a very nice move indeed from Debecourt to take the lead, and then we can see, of course, Julian under pressure from Ryan Jacobs. And Kavlidis now looks comfortable in 4th, just sits there, waits for something to happen ahead. He can just use that DRS now just to pull himself along with that top 4. We can see Pablo very close to losing that 1 second to the top 4. Of course, in P5, getting a penalty at last lap. Rain, of course, gets you a little bit out of the head zone, and you don't really try as much. You get losing confidence, you're losing the will to try and push even more in the car, and of course that can definitely cost you a lot of time in a race, as we can see that Ryan Jacobs now looking to close in on the back of Julian as they head their way down towards turn number 11. Of course, further back as well, Miltos dropping back a little bit more. Definitely not ideal for Miltos Kavlidis, of course. Would rather want to be a lot closer than he is at the moment, as we can see Julian.
8th place, Matex gets past Hops, and that's going to be 8th place now for Matex.
Of course, a nice move there from Matex to get himself up into the top 8, but these should have got Mackies. They're still 3.5 seconds off the leaders. So they're swapping around and taking positions, but they're not really making much work here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was 4 seconds at one point. They have made up a little bit of time. All of these drivers here in this front pack, of course, will be slowing each other down by battling. They're probably better off just trying to slingshot each other further into the lead. But it's going to be Ryan Jacobs now. He's potentially looking for a move on Julian, but Julian's going for a move on Debecourt. Who's going to come out in the lead out of turn 17 is going to be Debecourt remaining in the lead. Everyone remains in position, and that's the first pit stop.
Yep, that'll be Kavlidis in the pits off of those medium tyres. Tillen Smid joining him as well in the pit lane, so they'll go into probably a set of the hards to take those all the way to the end, and we'll see. It'll be in the next couple of laps there where we'll see what's better, the undercut or the overcut. Of course, Julian is on a set of the mediums, but Tristan and Ryan are on a set of the hards, so they will automatically probably stay out a little bit longer than those on the medium tyres. So we'll see what that can opt for them at the end of the race. Of course, now we can see Ryan looking a lot stronger than Julian. The mediums, definitely, that's a very weak point so far after taking 10 laps on them. That's quite a long way to take a set of medium tyres. As we can see, Jacobs now closing in on the back of Julian, but of course not using any battery, not really keen to make the move up into 2nd. Happy to sit in 3rd and use that DRS, as Miltos, of course, comes out 10 seconds back from Istvan Tamasip. So we'll see when the others decide to jump as well for the box.
Yeah, of course, there's not much reason for Debecourt and Jacobs here to overuse their tyres. They've got a few more laps they need to get out of them. I expect they'll pit around lap 17, lap 18, based on when the medium runners have started to pit now. So there's no reason to overuse their tyres. They might as well just sit in position. But of course, it looks like Ryan Jacobs has gone for the inside line. He's going to try and battle here for second place. In fact, he almost tries to go to the lead. He had to brake even more to ensure he doesn't go deep and hit Derbycourt. But they're side by side now, going through the final corner and going into turn one. Ryan Jacobs is going to continue to be behind, but he's on there alongside again. They have DRS. And going into turn one is with Ryan Jacobs on the inside line. Cutting in is Julian. And it's going to be now, they are going to remain in the position they started in, but very close battling indeed.
Of course, very harsh battling between second and third. But of course, all doing that, loses tyre wear and also loses time to Tristan Derbycourt. So ideally, they don't want to battle too hard for that second and third position. As of course, we can see Pablo has caught up to the back of those two after being a second behind only last lap. So that battling has cost them, you know, that comfortability of being in P3, not having to worry about Pablo and those behind as they head their way down towards turn number 11. Once again, we can see, of course, Miltos 9 seconds back from Istvan Tamasi, so bringing in the lap times very quickly, very consistent on these opening couple of laps on a set of the hard tyres. Of course, he will be a lot weaker at the end compared to those who are on the hards now going to mediums at the end. So we'll see that, you know, we'll see that crossover window probably at around lap 24-25 once everyone's been in the pits and once everyone has got their tyres and nice into their windows. We can see, of course, heading down towards turn number 16. Once again, Julian on the back of Tristan Derbycourt looking to pull to the inside because he knows Ryan will be looking to pounce as well as they head into the break-ins. And we'll see, when does Julian choose to make a stop?
Well, it looks like Julian here is going to take the lead, but does enter straight into the pit lane. It's going to leave Ryan Jacobs and Tristan Derbycourt to fight each other going into turn one. This has got very interesting. Of course, these two hard runners, they won't be pitting for a few more laps. Derbycourt, he backs off and lets Ryan take the lead of the Grand Prix.
Of course, still, these two going to keep going and going. They've got about maybe 3 or 4 more laps before they pit onto a set of the medium tyres. Of course, we can see Dennis Langrock stays out on a set of the mediums along with Alessandro Poi. Miltos Karafalidis will come out where compared to Julian is the question. Julian's up in P8. He'll come out around 1.5 seconds back will be Julian to Miltos Karafalidis. So the undercut window doesn't work as well on this game as it did last game, but still, and he, you know, still good there for Miltos to have a bit of a gap at the moment to Julian, who's got to, of course, get his tyres warmed up, so could lose a couple of tenths on this lap due to doing that. As we can see, yet again, Derbycourt on the back of Jacobs. Those two not going to battle now because they know they're going to pit in a couple of laps' time, and battling loses them time to help, and that, of course, helps Miltos, Julian, and all those behind to get back within that battle for the lead. So they head their way through out to turn 16, down towards turn number 17, and we can see, of course, Tristan now on the back of Ryan, and they're going to work together. It seems you could see that DRS wasn't even open for Tristan until he got halfway down the straight.
Yeah, absolutely. And now it's going to be Tristan taking the lead of the Grand Prix, but I imagine Ryan's just going to sort of sit on the back of him, and they'll probably switch position again a couple more times before their pit window.
Of course, as Alessandro Poi makes the move ahead of Sasha Neeb for P4, Sasha down to P5, and also Istvan Tamasi looking to get involved. He's now on the back of Sasha Neeb as they head their way down towards turn number 1. And those two are going to be looking to get to battle, of course, now in P3 and P4, but will drop quite further down once they make their pit stop and go behind, probably down towards P12 and P13 as Alessandro Poi. When will he come out? As he in the pits now, leaving the pit lane, he'll come out just behind, I think, or might even come out at the back here as they head their way out. It'll be close. Lighty's heading into turn 1 now. Yep, NASCAR just ahead, along with Alessandro Poi. So P12 is at the moment here for the TTM driver. But of course, we'll be looking to try and get into the top 10 and get himself a couple of earned points, as we can see. Julian now back within a second, and Miltos Karafalidis. This is for P5, of course, for the net race lead on a whole. Of course, with Pablo in net third, looking to close in as well. And then, of course, Tillen Smith all the way back. 4 seconds behind. He was, he was contending with them at one point for the lead. Now he's been overtaken by Dennis Langrock, who goes up into P8 in his TTM blue car. So we'll see what he can do and hopefully get himself some nice points as well. Pitting later than the others, one of the newest drivers to head into the pits and make a stop. He's 4.1 seconds back from the top 3, and we'll see when the top 2 decide to make their pit stop.
Yeah, I just saw Istvan Tamasi goes into third place, but of course that's not the well, it is the actual third place, but Pablo is currently in that third place, as we see people who've pit obviously being at a slight advantage to those who haven't. Of course, those who haven't are all on the hard tyres, apart from NASCAR and CZK, who had to unfortunately make early pit stops due to damage earlier in the Grand Prix, currently running on old medium tyres. But Nathan, what we're seeing here is it looked like the undercut really worked. Mills was able to make a huge jump on Julian originally, but of course he has caught up now at this point. In fact, they're even battling now for the net race lead. I'm not sure if someone's going to go for it. But yellow flag on the main straight. I think there's just someone retiring in the pit lane. Yes, Lighty ends his race there.
Of course, and with Julian being on newer tyres along with Pablo, and then of course, once Tristan and Ryan pit, they'll also be on new medium tyres. It does put Miltos in a bit of a difficult situation, as we can see Julian to the outside of Miltos looking to try and take the net lead of the race. Does take the net lead of the race. Up to P1 goes Julian, 28 ahead of Miltos Karafalidis, and of course we've got Pablo still in that net third position. And we can see Lighty's retired car head out onto circuit. Hops up into P10 ahead of Matex, those two fighting for the final championship point. Of course, Alessandro Point is fighting with them, but of course has a penalty, so he will be dropping down, even if he finishes ahead of those two. But we'll see. Ryan and Tristan. Ryan pits, Tristan stays out. So we'll see here, what can Ryan Jacobs do? A bit of a slide into the pits. And of course, no penalty, luckily for him. And we'll see where Julian comes out compared to Ryan.
Of course, Julian's ahead of Miltos now, so we're going to have to see. But they're already here, approaching turn one. I don't think Jacobs even left his pit box yet. So it's going to be an incredible lead to originally gain here for these two. But how much extra help will those fresh medium tyres give him going into the rest of the race? Of course, I personally think that was a lap or two too early, considering how long the medium runners let the tyres go originally. But we'll see how this plays out.
Of course, but he's quite far back now. He is. Ryan Jacobs got 3 seconds to gain on the top three. But of course, those new medium tyres need to get them fired up as soon as possible and get on the power and try and make those moves. Of course, Tristan Dervacourt as well. He's heading through turn 13 at the moment. He'll be making his pit stop probably within the next 2 or 3 laps. He'll also go into a set of the brand new medium competitor tyres. Miltos makes a move ahead of Julian. Julian goes to the outside in towards the braking zone. Pablo looking to try and find a way through, but couldn't as they head their way through turn 13. And yet again, they're battling hard, but that's just bringing Ryan Jacobs straight into this battle.
Absolutely is. And of course, Derbacourt's going to be looking at this as well and going, well, I could stay out longer on these tyres if these three are all going to battle.
Yeah, indeed, and that could definitely help him towards the end. Having those newer tyres ahead of Ryan, and also a lot newer tyres than Julian, Miltos and Pablo, that could put him into a race-winning decision, but he makes his pit stop now, and we'll see what he does. So onto a brand new set of medium tyres it will be for Tristan Dervacourt. And we'll see where he comes out compared to those in the lead. Sashanib also making a pit stop off of his set of hard tyres. And Julian just making a pass on Tristan. So we'll go on board here with Dervacourt now as he heads his way out the pit lane. He comes out behind Ryan by quite a margin. It'll be close between him and Langrock. And who will come out ahead? It will be Tristan. And now on the back of Ryan Jacobs, 3/10 is the gap. So these two now also, Mackie, can work together to use that DRS to catch up to the top three. So they could be on a very, very good race-winning strategy here.
Absolutely. Of course, they've got to also worry about their tyre wear. Of course, they're going to have to run these medium tyres longer than those who start on the medium tyres ran them. So they've just got to worry about that. But they're gaining incredibly quickly on the back of Pablo now, who, of course, with these three battling, they're just holding each other up. I'm thinking now the current medium runners are at a huge advantage.
They are. They definitely are now. We've got, of course, a 2-second gap, and Ryan's been on those tyres 1 lap. The gap was 3.5. It's now 1.9. They've gained 2 seconds in just over 1.5 laps here. This could be a brilliant race-winning decision by Jacobs and Dervacourt to pit onto a set of medium tyres and starting on the hards. And we'll see now what can happen. They've got a 1.4-second gap to the top three, so they're now going to have to get a move on if they want to try and keep the lead of this race. Of course, Pablo has a penalty, so he will drop further down either way. As Sashanib gets a penalty as well for track limits, Tristan Dervacourt takes P5 ahead of Ryan Jacobs. And now, are they within a second for DRS? I think he might just about have got the DRS for next time round as they head their way back down towards turn 1. No, he didn't, not quite, but Ryan's going to be on the back of him, looking to try and find a move. To the outside, Ryan Jacobs goes, but can't quite find the move done. And now, Mackie, they're easily going to be fighting for the lead here.
They are, but they're slowing each other down. They've lost 3 attempts just in a couple of corners there by battling each other. They need to slingshot each other into this lead battle and then start fighting each other.
Of course, because when they're sitting back there, they're going to lose time, and it's not going to help them because, of course, these guys in the front, even though they've got slower tyres, they will gain time on the straights because they've got that DRS to use. Of course, it gains you around 15 kilometres an hour of speed. That will lose you probably a couple of tenths of a lap if you haven't got the DRS. But we can see a fight for the lead. We're going 3 wide in towards turn number 11. Miltos Kavlidis takes the lead temporarily, but Pablo takes the lead in towards that corner. And now Miltos Kavlidis in second ahead of Julian in third. And Tristan Dervacourt now hungry to try and fight for this lead. He's in P4. He's got a very close gap to the top 3. He's got a 5-tenth gap for now. He should be making a move possibly in towards this next braking zone.
Absolutely, this hard to medium strategy appears to be working out at this point in the Grand Prix, but they will be old at the end of the Grand Prix. All of these tyres will be, and we've got plenty of moves being made. Pablo moves down to second, Julian up into second place. Sorry, Pablo into third place. Dervacourt just letting this play out in front of him, hoping someone will make a mistake, but he's down the inside. He's going to be outside around the final turn, going into turn 1. They're all going to be single file, except for Dervacourt, who's going to take that outside line as they drop the gears. That's going to be Dervacourt up into third place. The medium runners are right in it now.
They are indeed, and it looks like Pablo laid him through because he knew he wouldn't be able to fight with it. We've got Ryan Jacobs now the inside of Pablo as they head their way through to turn 6 and 7. Dervacourt on the back of Julian. We could see a move even for the lead here from Tristan Dervacourt if he knows he's got the pace to try and extend it. If he can get a second ahead, or if he thinks he can get a second ahead, it'd be a perfect opportunity now to make that move. Of course, with 10 laps to go, we're on lap 19 and 29. It's Miltos Kavlidis that leads ahead of Julian 28, ahead of Tristan Dervacourt in third position now. They head their way to the braking zone. I don't think any moves are being made this time around.
It might honestly be worth Dervacourt right now just sitting behind and taking advantage of that DRS for a couple of laps, just letting these two fight each other, Julian and Karafalidis. Just let them fight each other for the lead of the Grand Prix. But of course, these are all race drivers. They all want the lead of the race on the track as early as possible.
Of course, as now Dervacourt looks to try and close in on the back of Julian. He's got the ERS to use, he's got the speed to use as well. Down that back straight. Miltos going to be swamped here down to the braking zone. Miltos loses 1 position. He's going to be looking to lose 2 here unless he can fight it back. He breaks later than Julian. Tristan up the inside looking to make it 3 wide through the final corner on the power here for Dervacourt, of course. Ryan Jacobs wanted to get involved. He makes a move ahead of Dervacourt, looking to make a move ahead of Julian and possibly a move for the lead here from Ryan Jacobs as they head to turn 1. It's going to be 3 moves into 1 corner. Ryan Jacobs takes the lead at the Miami Grand Prix.
Incredibly impressive move there, taking 3 cars in just a couple of corners. Very impressive. Dervacourt now has a lot of catching up to do. He's got to get past these hard runners so he can continue on the back of Ryan Jacobs.
Of course, and you know, that's the last thing you would have wanted. And of course, we know he's got quicker tyres, but it still proves that DRS is a crucial part in the race. It cost Tristan a fight for the lead there at that point as they head their way back down towards turn 11. Of course, Ryan looking to try and extend that lead. We've got Tristan up the inside of Julian. Julian's going to try and squeeze him, but he can't squeeze him enough. And now Tristan looking to gain in on the back of Karafalidis, but Karafalidis is going to look to try and make a move ahead of Ryan Jacobs in towards turn 11. Round the outside goes Karafalidis, tries to stick it within the inside, but can't quite do so. And Tristan tapping the back of Karafalidis through that section. And now we can see Ryan Jacobs, of course, have that pace advantage, but the DRS brought Miltos straight back into it. Miltos gained 7 tenths, then that 1 straight.
Absolutely, and Ryan Jacobs had about a 9-tenth lead, not quite enough to break the DRS detection gap. But here we go now into turn 17. What is going to change here? Miltos going around the outside. He's right along that wall. He's pretty much riding the wall. Round the outside he goes. Ryan Jacobs, the better line though, through the inside. Continues to continue on the lead of this Grand Prix. And third place remains as Tristan Dervacourt. These 3, I think, are going to be battling for several more laps, potentially until the last lap for the lead of this Grand Prix. Down the inside to turn 1. Thinks better of it. Locking up those tyres. Not exactly what you want to see. Don't want to be generating flat spots with 8 laps left to go.
Yep, definitely not indeed. And now we can see Dervacourt looking to yet again apply the pressure on the back of Karafalidis, who's doing a brilliant job. 10-lap old tyres, so some of the oldest tyres in the race on the hardest tyre, looking to battle here for the lead and at least in second position at the moment. But you can see the tyres are dying. He's running wide. He can't quite get his foot on the power as early as he would like to. And then this gives Tristan Dervacourt a perfect opportunity to try and take P2 away as they head their way down towards turn 11. And Debecourt backing off. He knows he's not going to be able to make the move there, so might as well back off for now. As Karafalidis looks to try and make a move ahead of Jacobs. He taps the back of him as they head into the braking zone, but still keeps second place. But Debecourt will be angry because he knows he can fight for the lead. He knows that 1 second a few laps ago he had the lead, but unfortunately has lost it. And now he's looking to try and get second away from Karafalidis here, who's dropping even more time. Ryan Jacobs nearly getting a 1 second gap there.
Indeed. So Debecourt now, he's very, very close to the back of Miltos. As we go through now, it's going to be going into turn 17. Down the inside goes Debecourt, and Tristan Debecourt goes into second place. He's now going to chase Ryan. They're on similar tyres now. It's going to be very intense for the lead. He's just got to try and build that gap now on Miltos.
As they head their way down towards turn 1 once again, as we can see further back there, Hops making a move ahead of Istvan Tamasi. Tamasi fights back, they go side by side through out to the final corner, down towards turn number 1, and Istvan Tamasi on the inside keeps the move of P10. We can see as well Sasha Neve there battling with Matex for P8. Of course, those guys nowhere near the leading pack. Same with Tillen Smid and Dennis Langrock. They're all the way down in P6 and P7, but they've still got a 5 second gap to the leader, so they're also in a bit of a no man's land, not really got much behind and not really got much ahead. But we can see Julian 28 here looking to make a move ahead of Miltos. Karafalidis in towards turn number 11 and does get the move done, does Julian. Into P3 goes the Plain Ducks driver, and they head into the braking zone just about now. And the thing is, Ryan and Tristan, they get to about 8 tenths every time before a DRS, but then as soon as the DRS switches on, they just instantly catch back up. There's nothing they can do to break this 1 second gap, it seems.
No, absolutely. DRS is so powerful around this circuit. It's probably the circuit where DRS is the most influential on the racing, other than maybe Monza is the other one I could think of, maybe Spain as well, Mexico. Just anything with a long straight like this, especially down this back straight. The DRS is so vital to the race. See, they've caught right back up there. Julian back within half a second of the leaders, and Tristan Debecourt's just not quite able to make it work on Ryan Jacobs yet.
He's not. He's sitting back. I think he could be a little bit tactical here from Tristan, just to stay behind for now and just use that DRS when he can get it. And of course, allows him to use a little bit less battery and save it for when we get towards the final couple of laps in the race. I think they know now that they probably have got Julian and Miltos covered because they're a lot slower on those tyres. They're older tyres as well. I think they know they can just battle for the lead comfortably without those behind getting that much involved. So I think really now the battle for third is between Julian and Miltos, because I think they know they can't fight for the lead, so they might as well battle it out for the podium. Of course, it was second place last time for Tristan in Britain. He's looking to be that again. Of course, it was third last time out for Miltos, and he's looking to try and fight for third again. But of course, Ryan Jacobs in the lead, doing a brilliant job so far. Of course, had a really bad start, didn't he, on the hard tyres, dropped a couple of positions, but now is in probably the best position in this race on a newer set of mediums than all those behind on the hards. Of course, Tristan has got that advantage of a 1 lap newer tyre, but I don't think, compared to last game, the difference in tyre is that, I don't think it's as much as it was, of course, on last game. 1 lap difference in tyre could be really game-changing. But here, it doesn't look like that is really the case on this F124 game.
I think it's going to come down a lot to the track position for these two. Of course, Ryan Jacobs has left the race right now, but Debecourt being behind, as long as he can stay close, DRS on the final lap will give him an easy way past.
As they head their way through the final corner yet again, down towards turn 1. And you can see Miltos struggling more here than Julian as they head their way down towards the first corner. Pablo as well, looking to get involved, of course, has a penalty. But the good thing here for Pablo is he's got a 5.5 second gap to Dennis Langrock. So he knows that with the 3 seconds, he can still get a P5 here. So still a P5 on the cards here for Pablo, who's had a very good run here tonight in Miami. And of course, championship-wise, Miltos and Tristan doing well. But they probably know that if they, obviously they can still win it, but if they don't win this race, they know they've, missed the mark, because of course with Menno not being here, they'd love to maximise points, wouldn't they?
Yeah, of course they'd love to maximise points, but everyone around them wants to maximise points as well in a, a smaller grid. We haven't got all 20 drivers. We only started with 16. There's only 14 remaining. They want to maximise the points they can get on a small grid, and it's really, really going to be a tough competition for everyone here.
Of course, as they head their way through towards the end of the middle sector once again. Lap 24 of 29, 5 to go here in the Miami Grand Prix. It's Ryan Jacobs who leads ahead of Tristan Debecourt and Julian in third, along with one of the championship protagonists, Miltos Karafalidis, in P4, just a few tenths back from Julian. We can see there someone pulling out quite a lot. That'll be Pablo there, just pulling out at the slipstream as they head their way down towards turn number 17. We can see Sasha Neeb there making a move ahead of Matex. And we can see as well Alessandro Poi looking to get involved along with Matex there as they head their way down towards turn number 17 once again. Who will be making a move? Because look at Tamasi here, gets absolutely swamped and keeps the move for now. Keeps pin on but gets tapped by Sasha Neeb. That could be a word for the stewards there. Gets a bit of a tap and could lose position here due to that move as they head their way down towards turn 1. We can see Sasha Neeb to the inside of Istvan Tamasi and also Matex looking to make a move, but no, he can't. He stays back for now. I think Sasha Neeb knows he's not going to make the move, so might as well not try and force it in towards that first braking zone. And I think that's a good thing here. Once you drive, once you start to get to around F5 and F4 and above, the drivers know when not to make moves. Drivers below might just make a move because they know they can lead, but the drivers here, they have the race intelligence to know when and when not to make a position, don't they? And you can see it pay off very well in pretty much any circumstance.
Absolutely. Of course, the driver could be fast, but having good racecraft is also just as important of a skill, especially when the racing is this close, when you've got several drivers within just a few tenths of each other.
Of course, you've got 5 of them pretty much fighting for the lead. We know that Pablo won't because of his tyres, but theoretically he could also fight for the lead of this race. So we've got 5 drivers here looking to try and brawl it out for the victory here tonight in Miami. Of course, 2 of them taking podiums out in Britain. Ryan and Julian yet to get a podium here in this championship. Of course, only round 2 is. He's made a bit of a turn there, hasn't he, Mac? And it's gone a little bit too deep. That was a little bit of a silly lunge, I think, there from Tristan D'Abercourt.
I'm going to say it. He's probably just wasted tyres he didn't need to, and it's brought Julian straight back into this battle. He's going to cause a little bit of a mess now going to turn 1. Is everyone going to survive? Everyone is going to survive. Everyone's going to be a bit more sensible there, but I don't think D'Abercourt should have gone for that move. He didn't even have the DRS open that whole straight. That was purely slipstream that was slingshotting him past.
Of course, and I think he knew he might have broke a bit too late. You could see in the braking zone, once you pass the apex and you're not stopping, that you're not going to make the corner or you're going to struggle. So that, of course, is what happened to Tristan D'Abercourt. And once you're in that position, there's nothing you could do. You can't just brake more. The car only has a limited amount of braking. And, of course, Tristan, luckily, not coming to contact with Ryan Jacobs there in towards that braking zone. But they head their way down towards turn 11 once again. And, of course, Ryan Jacobs still has that advantage. But Julian looking to try and make him in for P2 as they head down to turn 11. To the outside goes Julian. And you can just see there he hasn't got the grip to fight. If he was on the same tyres, he would have hung it around the outside and probably took it through towards 12 and 13. But he hasn't got the grip. And he hasn't got the tyres to do it. So he's just stuck behind. And that is the issue here for Julian and Miltos. They can, they know what they want to do, but they just haven't got the car and the tyres to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely unfortunate for them. The strategy hasn't worked out so far. Of course, we could see a huge drop-off on the medium tyres the next 2 laps. The hard tyres still having some life in them. That is entirely something that could still happen. But as things currently stand, Ryan Jacobs and Tristan D'Abercourt are the 2 actually in contention for the win.
And someone's had a mistake somewhere. Where's
I think
that?
that's Pablo.
Oh yeah, because he's also a lot of time, hasn't he? He's 3 seconds back now from Karafalidis, as we can see Karafalidis look to try and get back into 3rd. So I'm not sure what happened there to Pablo, but he must have had a half spin somewhere, possibly down in towards one of those heavy hairpin braking zones.
Yeah, it looked like it was in turn 17, just didn't have any grip, locked up, went deep, something like that. It was a bit of smoke. So hopefully is able to recover and keep that 3-second gap to Tillen Smith behind so he can negate his penalty. But as we look at the lead now, will Tristan D'Abercourt go for a move at the end of this straight? I think I don't think it'd be the sensible move just yet. Of course, we're reaching the final few laps, 3 laps left or 2.5 laps left in this Grand Prix. He's got to go for the move soon, surely.
He's got it, but you can see there Ryan has a bit of a mistake in towards the braking zone. That's definitely not ideal for him, as Julian looking to close him once again. And the thing is, I do a little bit of racing myself. I'm not very quick, but I do a bit of racing. I know the pain of being stuck behind someone and knowing you can make a move, but you just haven't got the resources to do it. You want to do it, but you can't. And I could understand the pain and the issue that this causes here for Julian is it sometimes can cause a driver to become a little bit restless because they know they want it and they'll fight even harder. They'll send a silly move to try and make someone be a bit scared and move out the way. We all know drivers in real life that likes to do that. That is what Julian could end up doing, and that is what he's not going to do. He's got to keep it calm and collected in this position and just try and just hope that Tristan and Ryan makes a mistake. I think that's one thing he's got to lock into his head. He knows he's not got the pace to fight for it, so he's got to hope the top 2 make some sort of giant mistake. Otherwise, it's a lesson learnt. And maybe next week in the 3rd round, he could think, right, we'll try maybe going on a different strategy and following what these 2 did here today. Because it's worked at the moment, hasn't it? Very well for Ryan and Tristan. And you've got to think as well, Mackie, there was a couple of positions where if you didn't have this DRS straight, they would have easily broken the second and would have flew away.
Oh, absolutely. This strategy would have worked incredibly well for Ryan Jacobs and Tristan Derbicourt in, I think, a lot of other tracks. This track just has so many DRS zones that are so long that running an alternate strategy is very viable. And in fact, it's going to be 3 wide as they go into the slow section. Who's going to take the lead? Ryan Jacobs has the lead, but Derbicourt has more pace. Derbicourt's going to go to lead the Grand Prix, but Ryan Jacobs alongside the still side by side as we go into the chicane. That's a dangerous place to be in this position. Ryan Jacobs remains in the lead. In fact, they all remain, the top 3 remain as they were, but that was incredibly close. 3 wide down the DRS straight.
It was a brilliant battle from the top 3 in there. That brings Karafalidis back into the battle for the top 3, of course. All fighting here for the win of the Grand Prix. Ryan Jacobs leads going on towards the final lap of the race. Tristan stays back in nose now. He needs that DRS. Miltos looking to make a move, and he hits the side of Julian. Julian goes right in towards the braking zone at turn 17, and that will be a podium gone for Julian 28. He'll drop down, probably down towards around P8, and that could have been a bit of a mistake there made by Miltos Karafalidis.
Absolutely, that is definitely one that I think needs to be sent to the stewards after the Grand Prix. It's not, of course, our decision to make here. We are only commentators at the end of the day. But here we are on the final lap of the Miami Grand Prix here in PC F5 at PSGL. And it's going to be a battle between Ryan Jacobs, Tristan Derbicourt and Miltos Karafalidis here. It's looking like Tristan's losing time to Ryan Jacobs. He's got to battle Miltos Karafalidis behind, who's battling hard. So we go through a DRS zone here. We've got 2 of them left to go before the line. This is going to determine everything.
And we'll see what happens now. Of course, it is going to be Jacobs versus Derbicourt versus Karafalidis. And I think at the moment, the top, second and third might be a little bit too far back unless they can try and fight it. We can see there Derbicourt look to make a move. Had to back out for now. Couldn't get it done in towards the braking zone. We can see Karafalidis just sitting there. In P3 has a bit of a slight spin for now. But keeps the car under control, but has lost a lot of time due to that move. We can see as well further back Dylan Smid getting a penalty. But now on board here with the top 2. Derbicourt versus Jacobs looking to fight here for the victory. None of them winning yet this season. And Derbicourt would love to get into the lead of the championship by winning tonight in Miami to the inside, and he flies past Ryan Jacobs, and it'll be Derbicourt that will be looking now to win the race here in Miami unless Jacobs can do anything down towards the line. But I think Tristan's got it covered. He will have it covered as they head through to the final corner. It's going to be Tristan Derbicourt that wins the Miami Grand Prix ahead of Ryan Jacobs, and Miltos Karafalidis rounds out the podium in 3rd place, and it'll be Pablo that crosses the line in P4, but will lose out to Dennis Langrock, who takes P4 away, and Julian does get a top 5 in the end, but definitely there. Julian and Karafalidis, I didn't quite see what happened, but I think that definitely there will be sent to the stewards.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw at the very end of it, it did just look a little bit messy from a couple of the drivers, but an incredible win for Tristan Derbicourt, only starting 3rd on the grid and managing to get through to the win. And Dennis Langrock there getting the driver of the day. I unfortunately didn't see much of his race, but I did see he was making several overtakes. So probably well deserved. Here we go. Podium
Indeed.
now, Nathan. Incredible end to that race. That was intense.
It was a really, really good race indeed. And I think one thing we've got to consider, and I'll probably, even though we won't be here next week, I'll probably have a little look back anyway and just see what the constructors looks like, because I think they will still award I don't know if they will, but I would presume they would still reward the constructors points. And I don't know who's on what team, but you know, if Tristan and Miltos end up on the same team, this would be brilliant for them in the championship. But of course, we can see Tristan Derbicourt takes the win, of course, with the fastest lap, gets him an extra point to take with him, along with his. Oh no, he didn't get pole. He got pole last week. I got it mixed up. He gets first, of course, with that fastest lap. We've got Ryan Jacobs in 2nd, Miltos in 3rd, and Dennis Langrock 14th to 4th. A brilliant race from him ahead of Julian, Pablo, Dylan Smid, Hops Matex, and Sasha Neeb rounds out the top 10. Then we have Esteban Tamasi, followed by Alessandro Poit, Cesar K, who started 2nd, unfortunately, in 13th. Then we have Naskai, and then, of course, we lost Lighty and Charles Sutton at the end of that race. And I'd love to do interviews, but I've got to rush off quite quickly, unfortunately. So no interviews from myself, and I would let you do the Mackie, but I've got to stream and I can't leave it on. But it was a brilliant race, wasn't it? Obviously, 2nd race in F5. It was a little bit rushed, wasn't it? We come in last minute, and we had, I've got to say, a really, really good race. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, no, that was an incredible race. We had essentially for a lot of the race 2 different packs, 2 different battles happening, and it was incredible just watching them. consistently. And yeah, that was arguably one of the best races I've watched recently.
Of course. So, guys, make sure to come back next week for round 3 of the championship, which I'm going to have to get up on my screen. It will be the Austrian Grand Prix. Whew. Well, from what we see tonight in Miami, the Austrian Grand Prix for F5 could be rather interesting. So, guys, make sure to come back here next week at 7 p.m. UK time for the third round of the PCF5 Championship. Thanks, Mackie, as well, for joining me in the commentary box. And I'm sure next week you'll have Corey and Manatee back on your commentary screens. But for now, that's it from us. So have a good evening, everyone, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.